Hey guys, welcome back. So you know I had to do it. We are in October, Halloween is right around the corner, and so naturally this month's Cozy Up To theme is all things that go bump in the night. Well, not all things, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so today's video I am going to be focusing on cozies that feature witches, paranormal elements, ghosts, all of that kind of fun stuff, so that if you're like me and you like to have seasonal TBRs or TBRs that kind of speak to the upcoming holidays, in this case Halloween, you have these book recommendations. Now, as usual, let me know in the comments if you have read any of these. I've got a couple more than usual, but still not too many because I don't want to overload your TBR, because I'm sure if it's anything like mine, it's already toppling. But with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first series that I want to talk about, and hopefully I'm getting all of these in frame. Honestly, guys, I just wanted to show off my collection because I could have easily just put like my little image in the screen of the book cover. But anyway, first series that I want to talk about is the Wishcraft series. Now, obviously, you can tell from the sheer amount of books that I have just how much I adore this series, and there's a perfectly good explanation why. It is because it is just so utterly adorable and charming. I'm gonna go ahead and put these down now. In the first book, we actually start off with It Takes a Witch, and this entire series is by Heather Blake. There are quite a few books in the series actually, so if you're like me and you like your cozies to have a large backlist, this is the perfect one for you. Now, this one, as you can tell by the title, is witchy themed, and what we have here is not your typical witch, which is one of the reasons why I like it. Our heroine actually is a witch, but she has a certain gift, I guess, for locating certain things. So what that means is that she grants people's wishes who are looking for something in particular, whether it be something as literal as like they lost their keys or, you know, general direction in life. She is able to use her powers to help them fulfill that. And so that said, that's kind of like her side business, so to speak. And each of these stories, not only do we get a mystery, but we also kind of get the B plots of her helping the people in her town trying to locate different things that they have lost. And I absolutely adore this series so much. First of all, let's talk about how cute the covers are. I'm just gonna like kind of hold them all up. And I love the punny titles as well. Okay. Here we go. I love these so much, and one of the reasons why I love them so much is because of the unique witchy aspect. You know, there are dozens of cozy mysteries that feature witches, and this one is definitely more unique, which is why I like it. And it's not at all spooky or anything, so if you want to get that kind of witchy Halloween vibes in your books leading up to Halloween, definitely check this series out. Okay, next up we have the Witchcraft series, and honestly guys, I just wanted another excuse to show off all of my books. If you actually saw my Come Cozy Mystery Shopping with me, well, you'll know that I actually scored these four, which is so perfect. It was so serendipitous because, like I mentioned in the video, I already had the first one, and so the collection just goes together nicely. However, believe it or not, this is not all of them in the collection. I've got only half of them. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there are a total of 10 books in this series. But this one starts off with Secondhand Spirits. This is the first book in the series by Juliet Blackwell, who is a very well-known cozy mystery author. In the first book, we have Lily, who runs a vintage clothing store. And so I have to be honest with you guys, I've only read the first book, obviously, because I just picked up the other ones, but I really enjoyed it, and you get a more, I guess, traditional witchcraft in this one if we're comparing it to the Wishcraft series. But what I like about this one is that two things actually. One, it's actually not set in a small town. It takes place in San Francisco, which I know traditionally cozies have that small town element, but that doesn't take away from the book whatsoever. You still kind of get the rest of the cozy elements and just like the feel of a cozy, if you know what I mean. And then secondly, in addition to having our witchy main character character, you also get other paranormal elements, which is something that was unexpected but also refreshing to see, because I know, again, in a lot of witchy cozies, it usually just focuses on the witch potion type things and doesn't really cast out any much more than that. But in this one, for example, we get like warlocks, we get goblins and other things that kind of go bump in the night, which really kind of expands on the world without making it too large. You know, we still want to keep it cozy. And this one is also a great one, especially if you're looking for a more quintessential witchy cozy, then definitely check this out. Okay, so continuing on with Juliet Blackwell, she actually has another paranormal series. This one is called the Haunted Home Reno series, and the first book is called If Walls Can Talk, and basically it is a paranormal cozy mixed with HGTV. And what I mean by that is basically our main character goes throughout the Bay Area fixing up old homes, which may or may not be haunted. And in the first book, actually, she's working on her latest project where she is confronted by her colleague who happens to be a ghost. And so the mystery or the murder that she is trying to solve is that of her former colleague. So this one is extremely interesting, not only because of the paranormal aspect, but because of the architectural details and all of those kind of descriptions surrounding the home reno projects, which as an HGTV lover is something that is super fascinating to me. And I'm pretty sure that I've mentioned this countless times, but one of the things that really makes cozy stand apart are the descriptive language of the setting and everything that is kind of surrounding the theme. And this one, I think, is definitely no exception. We get those architectural details, the descriptions of San Fran, all of that kind of comes together to make this series really stand out. So definitely check it out. I believe there are 8 books in the series. So again, with the hefty backlog, you guys know that I love that. And if you love it too, definitely check it out. Next up, we have the Relatively Dead series. Now, this one is just as ghastly in the sense that our main heroine sees ghosts. Now, as for the first book, what we get is the premise of the heroine and her boyfriend moving up to New England. And while they are on a tour of homes, she witnesses kind of like a family dinner scene, but turns out that that family was actually dead. So soon after, she actually starts to have more and more ghost encounters. And the mystery that she is drawn into is basically the one of the original family that she saw, and she ends up trying to solve the mystery of their original death. Now, this is a 6-book series, and if you like ghosts, definitely check this one out. I will be totally honest with you, the majority of my paranormal I guess encounters have been those of the witchy variety. However, you know, 'tis a season. So if you want to expand your paranormal horizons, or if you already have a kind of like a pull to ghost, definitely check this series out. Okay, so this next one, guys, I gotta be totally honest, I have not read it yet. However, it is next in line in my TBR because it sounds so interesting. So what we have is the Pepper Martin Mysteries, and Pepper Martin is our heroine, but Homegirl is a graveyard tour guide. Let that sink in. So you all know how I love my cozy mysteries that feature kind of like quirky or offbeat jobs. This is definitely one of those that I would add to the list. And basically what we have is our main heroine, Pepper. She's just not having a great year. Her father basically is convicted of fraud and goes to jail. She breaks up with her boyfriend, and to top it all off, she loses her family fortune. So what you have is this ex-rich girl trying to make ends meet, which is the only reason why she takes this job at the cemetery. And while she's there, she gets into a little accident, and that leaves her with the ability to see ghosts. And the ghost that she sees is this mafia don, basically, which is why the first book is called Dawn of the Dead, which I love that title, side note. But she sees this mafia don who is a ghost, and basically is wrangled into hunting down and figuring out who his killer is, which, man, there's just so many levels of this that sounds really interesting. I like to do the blank meets blank comparison, and so it's kind of like cozy mystery meets Sopranos or The Godfather. I don't know my mafia movies, guys, beyond what my husband shows me, so maybe that's not totally accurate, but that's what I get when I hear about this, and it's the reason why I'm so interested in reading it. There are quite a few books in its backlog. I want to say there are 10, which is plenty, and so I have a feeling if I do love this series, I will be continuing it well beyond Halloween, because there is no way that I can gobble all 10 of these up while still maintaining my current TBR. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, definitely check it out. If I remember correctly, the books are available on Kindle, so you can get your e-copy or what have you and jump right in. Next up, we have the Ghost Hunter Mysteries, which is a pretty straightforward title for a paranormal mysteries, but the first book is called What's a Ghoul to Do, and basically in this series we have ghost hunters. Essentially, it's a duo actually, and so in the first book we kind of get a lay of the land, because our two main characters are tasked with basically trying to figure out who killed this respected doctor's grandfather, because the doctor suspects it's foul play. The grandfather allegedly jumped off of the roof, but that doesn't really seem right, so they're trying to get down to the bottom of it. However, when they get to that lodge where everything takes place, the grandfather isn't the only ghost there, so they have to kind of muddle through all of the other paranormal ghostly elements to figure out what really happened, and so that just sounds like all kinds of fun hijinks, right? So again, if you like kind of like that ghost hunter type thing, definitely check this series out. I don't really do ghosts that much, but it is entertaining. And so one of the reasons why I love cozy mysteries is that I am able to kind of get my spoopy elements in without being too creeped out, because let's be honest, anything ghost hunters that is on TV other than like Ghostbusters, I steer clear from, but this is definitely something I can sink my teeth into. No pun intended. Also, let me just say really quickly, there are a total of 10 books in the series. Man, this was totally inadvertent, but all of these seem to have a pretty hefty backlist, which is perfect, and I'm so excited about that, because if you love Halloween that much or paranormal, you've got all of these books to continue reading well after Halloween is finished. Last up, we have the Simon Kirby-Jones mystery, starting with book 1 of 4, Posted to Death. Now, this series is actually different for a couple of reasons than the previous series that I mentioned earlier in the video. Now, reason number 1 is that our main protagonist is actually a male. Now, that's not to say that cozy mysteries don't feature male characters, because plenty of them do. It just so happens to be, coincidentally, the previous books that I mentioned all feature heroines. So it'll be interesting to follow along with a guy in this series. Now, the other reason is that the paranormal aspect is actually because he is a vampire. So we don't have witches, we don't have ghosts. What we have is a male vampire. Now, this vampire is being described as handsome, very attractive, and suave, and I'm assuming that there's a reason that that is being mentioned, because otherwise they would just kind of simply state how the character looks and kind of let you paint your own picture. But this comes into play in the story. Now, as for the story, what we have is our main character, Simon, who is an American who moves to a quaint English countryside village. And when Simon gets there, basically he learns that his village is not quite as idyllic. As we have seen with movies such as Shaun of the Dead, all of these English countryside villages with their lush gardens, they're never quite what they seem, you know what I mean? So Simon is realizing that for himself as well, and that's kind of where our mystery element comes in at. Now, I don't want to really give too much away with this one, but I will say that the vampire element in this one has some interesting twists, unlike other vampire books that I've read. Granted, they weren't cozies, but let's be honest, each of the books that feature vampires kind of have their own lore and how they deal with them. This one is really interesting. So if you like vampires, then definitely check this one out. I will say though, I am not too familiar with a lot of cozies that feature vampires. So if you have a list of them, or if you have any that you have read and you like, please let me know in the comments below, because it was a hard it was hard searching for kind of vampiric cozies, and this one to me was the best one that I could think of off the top of my head, and so that's why I wanted to be sure to share it with you guys. Okay, so there you have it. You have quite a large handful of paranormal, witchy, and spoopy cozies to snuggle up with for this Halloween season. You know, if you like paranormal, obviously you don't have to only read these around Halloween, but if you're anything like me and you are a seasonal reader, this is sure to, at least hopefully, get you into the Halloween mood. So like I mentioned earlier, if you have read any of these, please let me know your thoughts on them in the comments. If you have your own paranormal cozy recommendations, definitely put them in the comments so that myself as well as other viewers can get some recommendations. Now, like I mentioned, this is definitely not an exhaustive list. There are like dozens of witchy cozies alone, but I wanted to whittle it down to just a few, and a few of my favorites at that. So that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Happy reading. Bye!